This video contains heavy spoilers for Taishou Otome Fairytale. I highly encourage you to read the manga if you haven't already. Please enjoy. Taishou Otome Fairytale is a story that changed my life. Run from 2016 to 2017, the story, set in Taishou era Japan, revolves around Tamahiko Shima, a man from the rich but hated Shima family, who buys a young girl named Yuzuki Tachibana to be his bride. Since he lacks use of his right arm, Yuzuki takes responsibility to take care for her future husband. At first glance, the story looks like a basic fantasy fulfillment slice of life, but is far more than that. It tackles themes of sexual assault, corruption in business, and being an unwanted child. Taishou Otome Fairytale focuses on 6 main characters: Tamahiko, Yuzuki, Tamako, Ryo, Kotori, and Hikaru. Tamahiko is the male lead of the manga. In a car accident, he lost his mother and use of his right arm, causing all of the family to turn on him. Due to being resented by his father and siblings, he became a bitter pessimist. He was sent to an old vacation home to live the rest of his life unassociated from his family. I appreciate that Tamahiko isn't just a self-insert character. He has an interesting backstory that supports the thing he does. He grew up rich, so he doesn't understand the hardships of working or starvation. He doesn't easily trust others because his own family treated him like he was useless. Despite just seeming like a boring shut-in self-insert at first, he has his own character. Yuzuki is the female lead and Tamahiko's bride. She grew up in a lower-class family, which caused her to work her hardest to help her parents survive. She sold herself to the Shima family to help with her parents' debt. Even though she knew of Tamahiko's tragic past and prepared herself for his anger, she still had a bright smile on her face. At first glance, Yuzuki seems like a one-sided perfect character. She's selfless and always has a smile on her face. However, these exact things are her weaknesses. She sacrifices her own well-being for others and never seeks help. At first, she seems like a role model, but by the end, she realizes that her mindset was toxic. Tamako is Tamahiko's younger sister. Since she is from the same unloving family, she is also cold and unloving. When she visits Tamahiko's home, she shows no respect towards her big brother or elder Yuzu. She's pride, almost to a harmful degree, as she struggles to ask for help. She's embarrassed to ask Yuzuki for comfort, and when she does, she pees her pants. Even so, Yuzuki doesn't laugh or make fun of Tamako. Instead, she warms up the bath for Tamako. Tamako is touched by this, finally warming up to Yuzuki, and treating her like a big sister. Tamako is alleged into the Shima bloodline, how the insane wealth and greed corrupt the family, and she becomes Tamahiko's closest confidant, which gives him advice and encouragement. Ryo is a friend of Tamako and Yuzu. At first, she's supposed to be seen as an antagonist, stealing from Tamahiko and tricking Yuzu into believing that he is cheating. However, as the story goes on, Tamahiko finds out that Ryo is only a loving sister, doing anything she can for her brothers. In her mind, she's not stealing from people who need the money. The Shima family is incredibly wealthy and wouldn't be hurt from losing a few yen. Ryo is kind of a foil to Tamahiko. She grew up poor, struggling to feed her brothers. Even so, she lives in a loving family besides her father. Her father, like Tamahiko's father, has little regard for his children, using all his money to buy alcohol, and leaving everybody hungry. Like Yuzu, Ryo was sold to a man to become his bride. However, the man was a terrible person, treating Ryo as an object. She serves as a lens to how real Taishou marriages might have played out. Tamahiko shows a wonderful Taishou fairy tale with a happy and successful life with his true love. But Ryo shows a more realistic Taishou life. A life where being born in a poor family means famine for the rest of your life, and being sold off means treated as an object. Kotori is a famous idol in Japan and a friend to Yuzu. She's introduced as an amazing and beautiful role model for Yuzu. When Tamahiko is feeling down, Yuzu mimics Kotori and sings a song. However, when Kotori visits Tamahiko's home, Yuzu becomes her role model. Despite singing love songs to everybody, she has no idea about love, which makes her ask Tamahiko and Yuzu for help since they are in love. Kotori's story helped Yuzu reflect on herself and her love for Tamahiko. Hikaru is Kotori's brother and a friend of Tamahiko. At first, he's presented as a snobby and effortless guy, getting so much attention and bragging to Tamahiko because he is so good looking. However, it's shown that this is just an act. In reality, he's caring and loving. His story mirrors Tamahiko. Hikaru was a successful man in music, learning guitar at a young age, mirroring how Tamahiko was a rich man at birth and very smart. Then, Hikaru gets very sick to the point that he can't see his family, similarly to Tamahiko. However, unlike Tamahiko, Hikaru manages to stay strong for his sister and fulfill his dream. He serves to motivate Tamahiko to find happiness in his life. The thing that made me fall in love with Taishou Otome Fairytale was the story. It is split into 5 different volumes, each volume representing a different part of the storytelling mountain. Volume 1 is the expedition of the story. It focuses on the main couple as they get to know each other. The main event of this volume is when Tamahiko gets sick. When he is trying to hold in his vomit, Yuzuki tells him to let it all out, making her beautiful kimono get ruined. Despite her first kimono ever being sewn being ruined, she doesn't even complain. To make up for ruining Yuzu's kimono, Tamahiko takes her to Tokyo and buys 2 expensive fabrics to make a new kimono. And in return, when Tamahiko is depressed from being declared dead, Yuzu goes to show him a wonderful spring. Tamahiko's father is a mysterious figure for most of the series, but it's clear that he hates Tamahiko. He exiled him away to live away from the family and forged fake death certificates in order to help the family's wealth. This volume is mostly just fun moments setting the tone of the story. It's mostly feel-good and happy, but it hints at the darker themes. Volume 2 is the rise in action, and it takes time to introduce Tamako and Ryo into the story. The main event of this volume is when Tamako comes to the villa on vacation. When she comes to the mountain home, she makes fun of Tamahiko for being declared dead and disrespects Yuzu for looking like a child despite being older than her. However, when Yuzu comforts Tamako in her fear, she starts to warm up to Yuzu. Now that Tamako is more comfortable, Tamahiko grows to realize that she is his favorite sibling, and they become the one true bond in the Shima family. However, all the housework over the past weeks has exhausted Yuzu, who collapses in a heavy fever. The doctor who comes to the villa scolds Tamahiko for overworking Yuzu, further deepening his sense that he is useless and better off dead. With his paralyzed arm, he struggles to do simple tasks for Yuzu, which makes Tamako upset as well. Overall, while introducing the new characters, this volume also reinforces the idea that Tamahiko feels inadequate and useless, undeserving of Yuzu. However, instead of sitting around and sulking like he may have before, he decides to actually do something about it. He vows to make Yuzu happy.
ゆずを幸せにしたいって。僕はそれができる男になりたい。
The second part of Volume 2 focuses on Ryo. Sometime after Tamako goes to Tokyo to study medicine, Tamahiko and Yuzu celebrate his birthday. Yuzu makes a meal full of Tamahiko's favorite foods and even got him a gift, a flower-printed bookmark. However, the two hear a pot fall in Tamahiko's room. But when he goes to investigate, he finds a woman eating candy from the pot and reading his porn magazine. She teases him for reading porn and even jokes about getting on with them. After she makes her little sex joke, she leaves, confusing Tamahiko. He soon realizes that the woman was a pickpocket, not only stealing his wallet, but also used his bookmark. Tamahiko rushes to go get his bookmark back. It's very interesting that he says that he doesn't care about his wallet, but he just wants the bookmark. This mirrors his father, who would disregard all the people close to him in order to grow his business. Instead, Tamahiko cares more about the sentimental value of the bookmark rather than the money of the wallet. When Tamahiko goes to Ryo's house to get the bookmark back, she tells him to tend to her little brothers as a form of payment. He turns out to be a pretty good teacher, gaining the children's trust. However, Ryo doesn't have time to give Tamahiko his bookmark back, instead saying she'll return it first thing tomorrow. The next day, Ryo comes to the villa to give Tamahiko his bookmark. However, she makes up a story. Tamahiko went to Ryo's house because they are romantically involved, and he gave her the bookmark because it reminded him of her. She expects Yuzu to break down crying, but she doesn't. Yuzu just takes the bookmark. Yuzu doesn't even seem fazed by the terrible story. She's wearing the same bright smile and looking as happy as ever. Even so, Tamahiko decides to make things right. He mends the bookmark, making it smell of glue. This was my favorite chapter in the manga, and the moment I crowned it as the greatest romance story I've ever read. In other stories, there may be drama from the misunderstanding, creating frustration on why the characters wouldn't just talk it out. Instead, the characters in Taishou Otome Fairytale handle the conflict very maturely. Yuzu acts like nothing happened, which is consistent with her character. She's unwaveringly optimistic and never shows any weakness. However, it's Tamahiko's actions that move me. Instead of going to fight with Ryo or sulking around like he usually did before, he decides to take action and make things right. He works hard to do such a small action, mending the bookmark, but still, this tiny action makes big changes in their relationship. They handle this conflict so maturely, and I love that. The author doesn't go for the easy drama of the couple growing apart. Instead, he used the drama to further grow the characters. The volume ends with Yuzu going to Tokyo to see her friend who has recently become pregnant. While we don't see too much, Yuzu's character was mostly built from her close friend and mother. Whenever her friend was feeling down, Yuzu seeks her mother for help, who taught her to be selfless and spread positivity. This volume is mostly to introduce the new characters, but also serves to foreshadow later events and characterize the main couple. In my opinion, this volume is one of the best. Volume 3 is the climax of the story. It focuses on characterizing Tamahiko and Ryo as they warm up to each other. The main event is the Great Kanto Earthquake. The earthquake hit Tokyo very hard, leading to many casualties and debris of buildings. With the railroads out of service, Tamahiko and Ryo have to walk to Tokyo. They start to become friends on their journey, and when they arrive in Tokyo, they see the city in ruins. There are hundreds of people trying to find their loved ones. Tamahiko tries to find Yuzu to no avail, but soon enough, he finds Yuzuki's childhood friend, who takes him to go see her. She suffered a major head injury, and it's unclear if she'll survive. Tamahiko rushes her to his uncle, a doctor who Tamako is studying under. Yuzu's story is in the middle of this volume, and it shows how Yuzu's love for Tamahiko grown as they spent the past year together. It's sweet and further humanizes Yuzu, who at this point was just an innocent girl who had a bright smile. It shows why she is so selfless, and the fact that she sacrificed her life for her friend. Due to the falling debris, Yuzu could have died, and it was a miracle that she survived. The volume ends with the railroads opening back up. With this, the characters return to their home, and they lived happily ever after. To be honest, if the manga ended here, it'd be bittersweet and feel kinda incomplete. Tamahiko has not yet fulfilled his promise to make Yuzu happy, and to be honest, he is not very happy just yet. Luckily, the manga doesn't end here, but the anime does. I have so many problems with the anime. I'll start with the things I like since it's short. I love the intro and the outro. The art style for the outro, as the little paper cutouts, are cute, and the music is good. I like the teasers at the end of every episode. It's cute being narrated by Yuzu and shows the drama of the next episode, but not spoiling it. And also I like Yuzu's crying noise. Okay, now for the things that are bad. Most of them are jokes. Tamako isn't rizzed up. The way Yuzu rips up the bookmark is much more sinister in the anime. They don't show the greatest math problem of all time. Ryo's backstory isn't really done as well. Tamahiko's school arc comes much earlier, before the earthquake when it came after in the manga. Tamahiko's uncle supports his decision to go to the school instead of his father. This undermines the father's character. They skip the dream sequence where Tamahiko worries about being made fun of. The gym teacher doesn't say, "Why didn't anybody help him?" which doesn't really show why Tamahiko feels inadequate. Yuzu's broom guitar isn't a full scene in the anime. Yuzu's broom guitar was personally my favorite cute moment in the entire story. It shows how Kotori can help people through tough times, and it's very adorable. Kotori's revelation was hers and not Yuzu's words. It's better in the manga because it helps Yuzu express her love. When Yuzu asks Ryo to cook for Tamehiko when she is away, Ryo is much closer to the couple in the anime than they were in the manga. In the manga, it was a surprise because Ryo was the villain who ruined the bookmark, but by that point in the anime, she was already a friend. The main problem with the anime is introducing Kokoroe early. In the manga, that arc is after the earthquake. With the rearrangement of the plot, it ruins a lot of developments. As stated before, the part where Yuzu asks Ryo to cook, the context is much different. In addition, it ruins the pacing of the story. My suspicion is that they moved the Kokoroe arc in order to put another marketable girl on the promotional material. Kokoroe is in all of the mid-roll cards as well as the intro. This choice really messed up the pace in my opinion. Volume 4 is the following action of the story, mostly taking time to chill and have fun. It is mostly adapted in the anime, but this volume is mostly a filler book, and in my opinion it's the worst volume. Even so, I still had a lot of fun reading it, and it was a cute little story. Nothing major happens, but it's still important to the overarching story. It mainly centers around Tamehiko going to school and meeting the famous idol Kokoroe. The first couple chapters are just meaningless slice of life things. Tamako comes back to the villa, and the friends hang out as they wait for Tamehiko's test results to come out. The school arc is mostly used to further show Tamehiko's feeling of uselessness. With his disabled arm and Shima name, no one wants to associate with him, and he even gets the feeling that the teachers see him as someone who needs help. When he sits to the popular boy at school, Hikaru, they both get in trouble for messing around, which forces them to do homework after school, where they have to draw each other. When Yuzu asks Tamehiko how was school, he lies to her and says it was amazing and he made lots of friends. Hikaru, upon hearing this, calls Tamehiko out. While Tamehiko says he should come clean and admit he lied, Hikaru says he should just make his lie a reality. These words stick with Tamehiko. Instead of leaving things as they are, he works to make things better. He works to make Yuzu happy, but also to make himself happy. While the first part of this volume focuses on growing Tamehiko, the second part focuses on growing Yuzu. Once Hikaru and Tamehiko become friends, he brings over his little sister, the famous idol Kokoroe. Kokoroe comes over to ask Yuzu what love is about. Yuzu takes the time to think about what she thinks love is, reminding herself of her love for Tamehiko. Soon after Kokoroe sings her new love song, Yuzu's birthday comes up again. Tamehiko and Yuzu enjoy a romantic evening, even suggesting getting busy in bed. Tamehiko goes to sleep, feeling flustered from her conversation, and when he wakes up, Yuzu is gone. Volume 5 is the resolution to the story, and personally my favorite volume. It focuses on Tamehiko and Yuzu getting the blessing to finally marry. Tamehiko is saddened when he finds Yuzu's note. When Ryo comes to wish him a happy new year, she tells him what might have happened to Yuzu. Ryo saw Tamehiko's older sister, Tamayo, come to Yuzu and blackmail her. If Yuzu didn't obey, her mother's new child would be aborted. With the Shima family's money and power, it'd surely be possible, and Yuzu left the love of her life to put herself through terrible things in order to save her mother. Tamehiko eventually finds where Yuzu is, in his half-brother's home where she is now a maid. Yuzu, in trying to save her mother, refuses to go back with Tamehiko. He threatens to kill himself, which finally gets Yuzu to admit the truth. She wants to be with Tamehiko forever. Tamehiko, realizing his family name is causing him all his sadness, decides to disown himself from his family. He gives up his comfortable, wealthy life in order to make his lover happy. As his story comes to a close, so does Yuzu's. For the past 3 years, Yuzu has been living in service of others. She ruined her kimono to make Tamehiko feel better. She hid her feelings in order to not make Tamehiko worried. She risked her life to save her friend. She did so many things without ever thinking of herself. She realizes that her life is hers to live. She isn't living for others. She's living for herself. Tamehiko and Yuzu visit the Tachibana household in order to get Yuzu's parents' blessing for their marriage. Instead of Yuzu adopting the Shima name, Tamehiko adopts the Tachibana name. For the safety of the Shima inheritance, Tamehiko and Yuzuki work hard for their jobs to support themselves. Tamehiko becomes a teacher, which is great because of his knowledge from reading books, and he works well with children. And Yuzu becomes a waitress at a cafe. Instead of hanging out with his colleagues and drinking, Tamehiko spends his time after work at the cafe with Yuzu. Tamehiko and Yuzu have found their happiness and finally marry after 3 years of being together, and they live happily ever after. Taishou Otome Fairytale is the greatest love story I've ever read. It changed my life, and it showed me how such a simple premise can be turned into something great. Looking at the general reviews, most people think of this story as mediocre. They see it as a simple slice of life, or see Yuzu as an angel fairytale princess, but these are far from the truth. The simple slice of life idea mostly comes from the anime, where nothing of note happens. The conclusion isn't a good ending for the character's arc. At the end of the anime, it doesn't feel like Tamehiko nor Yuzu have really grown or found their happiness. Tamehiko is still unhappy with her situation as a dead man, and Yuzu hasn't actually realized how her serving mindset leads to her own suffering. Another take that I see is that Yuzu is an unrealistic character. She's too saintly and perfect. However, Yuzu was the character that I really connected with. I used to be like Yuzu. I would always serve others and hurt myself in order to make the people around me happy. Even though everyone around me thought I was happy, I was miserable. I'd cry in bed and no one knew anything was wrong. It was only after I started living for myself and not for anybody else that I started to find happiness. I found new friends who liked me for my good aspects, but also my faults, and I stopped crying. Yuzu really opened my eyes. She brought herself so much pain just to protect others, but she didn't find true happiness until she started living for herself. A few cute things that I saw while editing. The art improves as the story progresses. I remember first reading the beginning and not being fond of the art style, but by volume 3, the art is absolutely gorgeous. Also, I never knew that there was a dub of the anime, and it sounds pretty gross.
Would you like to wash your face? Let me help you.
I can do it myself, thanks.
But I know I can be useful if you allow me to take care of you.
I don't know.
This story changed my life. It isn't just a normal feel-good slice of life. Tamehiko isn't a shut-in by choice. He isn't just some self-insert. He's neglected and hated by his own family. He finds the corruption that comes from being rich. His father knocks everyone over. He ruins Tamehiko over and over just to keep his own wealth. Some people may say Tamayo is the main villain of the story, but it's actually Tamehiko's father. Tamehiko's depression comes from his father's neglect and willingness to hurt others. But it also takes time to establish that the Taishou era wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Ryo was sold off and abused by a man. Yuzu's sister was killed from the seas, and the Shima family have all the power to manipulate any documents they please. While the story may take place in the 1920s, corruption and abuse still exists today. There's still hundreds of sexual assault cases every day, and even though it's outlawed in most areas to stop people don't focus on abuse enough. And most all of the money today is owned by the top 1%. Businesses like Apple or Hershey prey on less fortunate people and force them to work in terrible conditions. To most people, Taishou Otome Fairytale is just a sweet little story for romantics to warm your heart. But to me, it's the greatest love story I've ever read. It doesn't waste time with the cliche arcs to fill time, it doesn't glorify its era, and it provides excellent commentary on the rich. Taishou Otome Fairytale isn't just a feel-good slice of life. It's the greatest love story I've ever read. Hey, so this was the copyrighted video I talked about in my Renai circulation video. So I had to flip all the anime footage. My first resort was to replace it with Volcano Princess, but on my second try it got copyrighted again. So I think every single anime thing was copyrighted, so I just decided to mirror it all. For the captions, or is that what it's called? Captions? For the captions, you can't really read it, but when it's important, I put the text for you to know. And I'm just like very upset because I worked so hard on this video, and this is not the best product I can give out. This is like a half-assed version, and it's just very annoying. Like, because I don't plan on doing this for money or as a career. I just want to express my feelings, and I'm not pirating the source material. I'm just expressing my feelings using the anime as a outlet. So yeah, it's very annoying, but thanks for watching. It was very fun making this video.